Hi, good morning. We are reading Mystery of History, Volume 4. We're on page 59, and we are looking at the part 2 of the American Revolution. We're in the second set of 10 steps. Since we haven't done it in a while, we're going to review all the steps. Number 1 was the
Boston Massacre.
Good. Number 2 was the Boston
Tea Party.
Caleb, do you remember number 3? The first Continental
Congress.
Good. The first Continental Congress. Number 4 was Chris.
Patrick Henry's fiery speech.
Good. Number 5, Cal, was Paul
Revere's ride.
Good. Number 6 was the battles at
Lexington and Concord.
Good. Number 7, Cal, was the second.
Continental Congress.
Followed by number 8, the colonial defeat at the Battle of
Bunker Hill.
Good. Number 9, Thomas Paine's Common Sense. Number 10, the Declaration of Independence. Number 11, Washington crosses the Delaware with his
Famous portrait.
Yeah. There we go. Cal, remember the portrait of Washington crossing the Delaware? I like that picture.
Me too. It's very dramatic, especially with Washington standing.
Number 12, the flag unfolds. He almost looks like Batman. Number 13, the victory at Saratoga. Oh, we did the flag with Betsy Ross. Victory at Saratoga, oh yes, was when that woman Jane was killed in battle. Or she was killed because she was in the wrong place. Then the winter at Valley Forge is number 14. Number 15 is the Treaty of Alliance with France, which Benjamin Franklin had gone to France. Then 16 was the betrayal of Benedict Arnold. He was telling their American secrets. Number 17 is the Articles of Confederation, which were not that well put together, which they found out there was a lot of, and sometimes it's a hard, you think something is a good document until you actually start putting it into action, and then you see that there are holes or things you didn't think of. All right, number 18 is where we are now. Cornwallis surrenders at Yorktown. Back on the battlefield, where the war dragged on for several more years. Several more years, that's a long time. I mean, it's easy to say that, but that's a long time to live it. British Lieutenant General Cornwallis, he occupied the Carolinas in the south. That's North and South Carolina. He was dealt several blows by frontiersmen, from whom nothing much had been expected. So some frontiersmen rose up and said, "Hey, you're not getting over here." He was also outsmarted by General Nathaniel Greene. He was a new commander for the southern states. He'd been handpicked by George Washington. One of Greene's strategy was to keep Cornwallis on the move and exhausted. Greene lured Cornwallis to chase him and his men all the way to Virginia. You say all the way. These days, that's not that far. But those days, it was far because they were traveling either by foot or horse.
Right now, it only takes us about an hour to get, even less than an hour to get to Virginia.
Well, they were in the Carolinas, so they could have been as far down as South Carolina. And to get to Virginia from there is probably about 6 hours, 8, somewhere around there. By car, but they didn't have cars. They had horses. And not all the men had horses. It was a daring race because at some point, Greene and his men were no more than a rifle shot away from the British. And Greene's men were also fighting exhaustion. But the chase was successful in wearing Cornwallis down. During this time, George Washington was near New York, where the British were still camped. But Virginia, that's where the action was now roaring on, was Washington's new home. It was Washington's home. And he couldn't stand to not be there. So he left a few troops behind and he headed south. His plan was for the French Navy to meet him on the Atlantic coast. and to surround Cornwallis. I wonder how they got messages to the French Navy. That's interesting to me. I guess they spoke a little bit of French, probably. But also, did they use, like, Morse code or something? Was Morse code even invented then?
I don't think it was invented until the late 1800s by Alexander. Well, I don't know.
So what did they use to communicate?
Letters?
That's what, yeah.
They wrote in Spanish.
No, they wrote in French. Oh, so the English can't see it and determine what it says, a secret code. All right, so starting...
I don't think that Morse code was invented into World War II.
Okay.
No, it was invented in the 1800s.
In the 1800s. Okay. Caleb. Starting on September 28th in 1781, the fighting took place at the Battle of Yorktown. After 3 weeks, Yorktown was where the major fighting of the Revolutionary War ended. Flanked on all sides, means he's surrounded. Cornwallis was surrounded. On October 19th, is that today? What is today?
Somewhere in October.
It's like the Sunday was the 15th, 16th, 17th. It was October 17th. It's really close. Cornwallis dutifully surrendered, but he would not meet with Washington face to face. Cornwallis and his 8,000 men marched away from the scene in a typical military style, past lines of French and American soldiers who were hardly able to contain their excitement. Okay, so here is it says Cornwallis didn't attend the surrender ceremony, but he sent word to the event with General Charles O'Hara, his second in command. So
why are the French in the...
Here's a picture. Now, is that a picture? Cruz, read the little caption. Is that a picture of Cornwallis or is that O'Hara?
It says, on October 19, 1781, General Cornwallis surrendered troops and equipment in the American Revolution. Cornwallis didn't attend the surrender ceremony, but he sent word to the event with General Charles O'Hara, second in command. It doesn't look like Washington, even though he's got a blue coat, so it's probably O'Hara.
Okay. Yes, Kayla, what are you about to say? All right, we'll come back to you.
I know.
Okay.
Why are the French and the English so excited?
It was the Americans were excited because the British were surrendering. They won. Means they won after years and years. And the French were excited too because British had been their longtime rivals.
That's what I was going to say, and they finally defeated them.
Okay, step number 19, the Treaty of Paris. Few realized then that Yorktown would mark the end of the American Revolution. It would be 2 years before an official peace treaty was signed. That's just crazy to me. That was the last battle, but it was be still 2 years before a treaty. And they're like, oh, well, I guess that was the last battle then. But after much negotiating, our friend Benjamin Franklin with John Adams signed the Treaty of Paris on September 3rd in 1783 at the Hotel d'York in Paris. And just so you know, this was the second Treaty of Paris. The first one was written 20 years earlier. It was in 1763 to end the French and Indian War. So don't let the two Treaty of Parises confuse you. In November of 1783, the last British troops left New York and sailed home to England. From the first shot heard around the world at Lexington until the surrender of Cornwallis, the war had gone on for 6 years and 6 months to the day. As for George Washington, he humbly refused the gesture to become King of America, which someone seriously offered him. He retired to Mount Vernon, his Virginia estate and plantation. George Washington had aged from the part he played in the American Revolution and probably would have liked to remain in retirement. But duty called him back to Philadelphia, where there was talk of a new constitution to replace the Articles of Confederation. So we're going to stop there because this includes a lot of dense information. And we're not quite, because step 20 is the Constitution of the United States of America. So it's the Constitution. But that's a lot of compact information. So we're just going to stop there. We'll pick up tomorrow on page 61.